Hello everyone, it's Oliver Harper here, and I'm back again with my good friend Tim Partridge. And today we're providing a commentary on Gremlins 2. Now remember, it's an audio commentary, not a video, but you can sync up the commentary with your own copy of the film by putting the timestamp to 0 and pressing play now. Completely bonkers opening sequence, isn't it?
It's brilliant. It sets the tone, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. You know it's not going to be some kind of dark horror straight away. I think it kind of misled people. I think they kind of. Do you think they were expecting something similar to the first film? Because this film
wouldn't you? But that's the greatness of it. I actually liken this film very much to Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2.
Yes.
The Tobe Hooper film, where they kind of just gave up on the concept of the first one and made a farce and just made a huge extravagant film, and it's so much fun. It's like a pantomime, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's because I think Warner's wanted to do a new one because of the money they'd made on the first one, but so desperate to find. I don't think many directors wanted to do it. I think Joe was asked again, and he said only if I had more creative control.
And it's like a spoof. It's like a parody of Gremlins. But beginning with this I think Joe Dante's a big fan of Chuck Jones, the animator.
Well, that's why he went and did that Looney Tunes movie, didn't he?
Right, of course, yeah. And there are very sort of cartoonisms, I guess, throughout all of Joe Dante's body of work too. Even something like Piranha, right at the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we have to mention that the first live-action shots you see of Gremlins 2 are aerial unit footage from Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. This opening shot, is actually the background plate for when it's a point of view, actually, isn't it?
It's
Lois and Clark.
It's either that or it's when
Superman and Lois are flying, returning back to the city. This is a point of view shot for when Nuclear Man's looking down. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a different film. I love the music here, the Jerry Goldsmith rousing score. I love how it turns into this kind of Asian.
That's
modern
synthesizer.
Yeah. It reminds me a bit of Black Rain, actually. Yes. Hans Zimmer, brilliant score.
Well, Joe Dante always used Jerry Goldsmith, which is nice to see.
I love the big. Around this time, you always had these big acidy blue skies in these movies. Like we talked about Darkman before. Yeah.
Dick Miller. Right.
And story-wise, before in the original, you started off in the first Gremlins.
The back streets of his Chinatown.
Yeah. Whereas here they're going to the huge Chinatown of New York, and this is a backlot set. This one last shot
This is Warner Brothers.
Beautiful backlot set that's been used.
They made great use of it as well.
Yeah, but it's completely not like New York the way it swerves around. You have gridded systems.
It's probably the same backlot they used in Gremlins 1 though. They just set dressed it, I think.
And that's great, isn't it? A great character moment there where
he doesn't want to get dirty.
With Forrest, yeah. We got the recurring Jerry Goldsmith theme. I love how big. Don't you just miss the big music you used to get in films? And I really enjoyed recently the Jurassic World, where you had the John Williams theme. Was proudly repeated throughout, and you could feel that resonate with audience members who'd grown up.
People just got nostalgic as soon as they hear that kind of bombastic music.
I think he's so good at. I mean, Joe Dante is a great comedy director.
He's
a great director. He's a great genre director. He's done great. I think when
it comes to spoofing anything from the 50s, something like that, like a B movie, he knows it in and out. He knows what to do. That's what things like Matinee does so well. But Gremlins 2 kind of has those charms of kind of classic films.
Well, it's affection, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And here we're introduced to Daniel Clamp, who is played by John Glover, who's a hilarious character.
He's amazing in this. And he also went on to play Lex Luthor's father in Smallville.
But it's quite interesting how you think that this traditionally would be played as a very negative villain role.
He has a bit of a Richard Branson thing to him, doesn't he?
He's very optimistic, and you can see that he's enthralled still by technology and the ideas of the future and presenting the future, and it's not. He's not like a kind of. He's not Louis Strach or OCP from Darkman or RoboCop. No.
He has very good intentions. He doesn't have this sort of evil streak behind him.
He's looking for the best things. Yeah, I love how he makes that smile at the end of his presentation and then turns to press the button, hampered by the technology. And Robert Prosky.
He passed away shortly after the film.
Oh, really? Sorry, the Mr. Wing.
I think so. Yeah, because he did Gremlins too, and like an episode of Superboy season 2. You know, and he started out his career doing movie posters for Hollywood.
Right.
A great artist.
I remember at the time when I initially saw this and seeing a whole television set being given to someone, thinking, "Wow, that's amazing! A massive gesture." Seems funny now, doesn't it?
Did you see this when it came out on videotape or on TV?
I actually saw this for the first time. It was played in a supermarket.
Really?
On a loop, the whole film.
It's 15 rows.
In early 1991. And obviously I'd been surrounded by the advertising for Gremlins 2 when it was coming out in that great summer of 1990, where we had movie posters of, we said, Total Recall, Darkman, Jetsons the movie, Dick Tracy, Robocop 2, to a kid looking up and with no pre-internet, and this stuff just appears in poster form.
Yeah.
It's really intimidating.
Awe-inspiring, isn't it?
Yeah. It's great stuff.
I first saw this when it came out to rent. My friends down the road had rented it, and I went round his house. And my mum and dad found out I'd seen it, and they weren't happy because I was only 8 years old, and it's been 15. But it wasn't, the film wasn't really kind of that graphic. I think now, if it came out now, it would be a 12 or 12A, whatever. Do
you think it'd be a PG?
No, not a PG, because if Gremlin gets put through the paper shredder,
But it's fun, isn't it?
It's fun, yeah, but it crosses the line into slightly kind of a bit graphic.
You never see any humans really subjected to anything really painful, even that.
It's just kind of like, it's torturous in a comedic way. But they've really amped up Gizmo in terms of his cuteness level in this film. He's beyond cute.
Well, I like Rick Baker's interpretation of Gizmo very much. I think. Was
it Chris Wallace did the first one? Wasn't it? Yeah.
And they tended to be a bit more, I guess, sort of more.
It's more cuddly and cute in this one.
They felt a bit more reptilian in the other film.
He did, yes.
Especially all the Gremlins, actually.
Actually, when Gizmo, when he's like, he's playing the piano in the first one, where Zach is Billy. You can see the kind of reptilian style to him, but. In this one, when you see him running, it's just he's like a cuddly toy now,
Yeah, with the big gooey eyes.
He's something that could be sold as a stuffed toy, which he kind of ironically was.
I love this shot here, this this blue screen shot here of him marching down with the shadow underneath. It's fantastic.
That's really good. All the close-ups of Gizmo are really well animated.
Yeah, and they're all shot like commercial pack shots that you see in adverts and stuff. Just lovingly done.
I don't know how big the puppet actually was. Maybe it's quite a large one because the scale was actually really good.
Well, they had to make them bigger, didn't they, to get the mechanisms and stuff, and also just to shoot them.
Well, the first one had a giant Gizmo, for the extreme close-ups.
Here we are in New York. And apparently, that's a glass shot. The top part with the
really,
because it's got
with the
clamp advert thing.
Yeah.
And I like how Billy and Kate, they've come along. They've come along a lot since the first.
They've gone from a small town. They've gone to the big city, just like people where I live and going to London, living.
But completely unfulfilled and longing to go back
and
where
they're struggling for to keep living paycheck to paycheck. Don't have much money in this tiny apartment as well.
That's the key, isn't it, to these films? Is having a nice kind of small intimate relationship between people you can relate to, and then at the other end of the spectrum you've got these monsters. And I guess that's kind of this whole film is about modern living to some degree as well. It's kind of because
at the time, like satellite TV and cable TV was becoming really big, especially in the UK with like Sky Television. And so this is obviously a kind of a play on that, isn't it? And
but it's
at the time, or maybe even not essentially like a satire on it. It's kind of like what was new at the time. Let's push that further.
It's funny because you think that they do something like that now. You do. I mean, I guess in terms of reflecting that the times in which we live in, I had a similar feeling when I was watching Fight Club of all films. Actually, I know they seem completely different, but they seem to summarise the madness of modern life. And
the thing that was in Fight Club is he's got everything from IKEA and in his apartment,
Yeah.
you see everything he's got, the price and the item number it shows you,
and it's pushing it, to the end. But I mean, even here you've got things like the Archery Channel, and
Yeah.
colorized TV and frozen yogurt.
Yeah, and because nowadays it's a channel for everything.
I think we're waiting for another film like this that will probably do the I guess the kind of gadget world that we live in, the for social media and technology obsessed mobile phone world that we live in now. This is doing it all kind of pre-internet.
Did you see the sort of was it the BT advert that had the Gremlins come
Right,
back
yeah,
recently?
yeah.
And now that advert felt more in line with Gremlins 2, which is kind of just a messing around with technology, where the first one feels
Sure.
far radically different.
I love the production design in this film as well by James Spencer, who'd done a lot of Joe Dante's movies previously. But it is a mixture of interiors that are shot in Burbank and Warner Brothers on sound stages, and then I think they probably did a week or so in actual New York. But I think it's quite seamless, and even when it isn't, it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, actually, no, I think it is seamless. I think it's completely. I think
No, for the first floor of Clamp Towers, what location was that? Was that like something they'd built? Was it the kind of retrofitted?
so this what we're looking at now. This open
This
plan
will
office.
this will be
This would be a set.
the set, but the first floor there when they came
The ground
through.
floor.
Yeah, ground
Yeah,
floor.
that's a set.
Really? Oh Christ!
That's all a set.
I thought I might have just done a set dressing of something that already existed. Pretty impressive.
But I like the use of sort of minimalist art that they've got behind Picardo here as they're talking about this nostalgic picture that he's done to symbolise his longing for his hometown and small town life that he wants to get back to.
And they've filled their office with what's just plainest, blandest artwork.
But I remember at the time, I remember seeing when you see Phoebe Cates wearing those skyscraper hats. She's a tour guide, and everything else like the grey and the black, and this felt very future-proofed.
Yeah.
The look of it. Throughout the 90s, this looked...
What's that Total
this
Recall?
looked
There's a lot
cutting-edge.
of grey as well in Total Recall.
Well, I was thinking, like, we were talking about, we were watching Darkman before, but there's a lot of sort of design in that because it tips to films like things like The Fountainhead and films that are more kind of, I guess, classical, but also looking forward in their architecture and their design. And I kind of felt at that time in the kind of the very late 80s, early 90s, where you kind of had a mixture of sort of, it's almost like deco but with steel and a lot of that style lasted through the 90s.
Yeah.
And I mean, now you look at it and it's all sort of big and it seems sort of a bit bulky because we're in an era of tablets and
Sure.
everything seems to become more compact. But I remember just seeing this and just thinking, this is never going to look old. It just looks so timeless. So Billy now works as a concept artist, a designer at the Clamp Towers, and Kate's a tour guide. And she's showing at this point she's just showing everyone around the tower, and now we're introduced to Robert Prosky, who's playing Grandpa Fred.
Obviously, his channel just shows really kind of crappy B movies, and he kind of is always upset because he can't, show something a little bit more kind of interesting.
Joe Dante here.
Yeah, cameo. Yeah, I mean, this film is littered with kind of Joe Dante's kind of regular actors. Obviously with Dick Miller, and you've got the guy who just got caught smoking, who was the head. He was in The Burbs.
Yeah, Henry Gibson.
Yeah.
Who's also the bad guy in Blues Brothers.
Yeah.
Among many other great roles.
And we have obviously Picardo earlier from Inner Space.
This actually does have quite a large cast, doesn't it?
Oh, it does, yeah.
It's a bit of an ensemble piece.
Well, I saw the actor Zach at some sort of convention, and the guy still looks the same.
Wow.
He doesn't age. This guy.
Blessed with the fountain of youth.
Hasn't caught up with him yet.
I like the idea here too of having somebody who on the outside looks like Dracula, and throughout the whole film you never see him out of that costume.
No, you don't know.
So he basically is a Dracula figure walking around, and superficially you look at it and you think that's really scary, but he's actually this kind of washed up this presenter who's trapped in this job that he wishes he could do something that he cares about. And I love the line that he says about the only thing that people watching this will be scared of is sobering up and finding a job, in the morning. But it's a film, it's a very much a modern film, but also, as we're saying, with an affection for yesterday.
But he was saying now, Clamp only likes horror films in colour. Do you think that's kind of a stab at colorisation?
Oh, of course, yeah. Well, that was at that point as well, where a lot of older movies, a lot of black and white films were being colourised.
Well, yeah, because George Lucas got his knickers in a twist when they tried to colorise movies.
Well, remember the Giorgio Moroder version of Metropolis? And I also remember around that time there were a lot of Laurel and Hardy films in England that were getting reissued, probably in America as well, in fully in colour. Here we go. This is the splice of life now. We're about to meet the great Christopher Lee, as Dr. Catheter. So much great craftsmanship in this film.
This bit always kind of freaked me out as a kid when you went into this kind of the science lab, when you got the spider hidden behind this kind of sheet and he opens up,
What a great entrance for Christopher Lee. I love how he walks in the background out of focus. Your eye just goes straight to Christopher Lee.
But I love in a minute when he meets Gizmo and he's not immune to his his cuteness, because he's just like he, even though he's completely kind of evil in a way, he's still charmed by Gizmo. Even just the slightest little moment. I just love the fact that
I said before with Kate and Billy, you've got again a small little drama in it, and that kind of relationship is a good way to balance out all the madness with the monsters.
Sure.
But as you say, once we go into this claustrophobic area, this slice of life area, and it's just madness, there's kind of no rules. We got a cow walking around there with a head beat. You see one of the pods from Invasion of the Body Snatchers being pulled out at some point as well. It's mad kind of farce.
Oh, those two, they obviously popped up in Terminator 2, didn't they? As the security guards.
Yeah, the Stanton brothers, I believe.
But the use of colour in this whole scene is very much something from the 60s. It's like something from the Batman TV show.
It's comic booky.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, I just love the way that Christopher Lee plays everything completely straight.
Oh, yeah.
But he's also able to match the sort of the bigness of the stylised world that Dante's created. But you feel a genuine threat from him. He doesn't seem like another wacky person in another wacky world. He looks like the one sober person walking through.
I just think he was a stubborn old man, who's kind of frustrated by his kind of.
But look at him!
His silly staff.
Look at this amazing shot. It's so funny. Look, you got the brothers are dancing at the side here. Christopher Lee's just look at his facial expression. So good.
And that composite there is really good. There's kind of no loss of colour either.
Yeah. I think they used a process on this called the Blue Max, which is where you basically front project a colour onto a front projection screen, and it stops you from getting fringing.
Oh, so that's really good. You're saying that's for the scenes of Gizmo when he's walking.
It's credited at the end of the film. It says Blue Max photography at the end,
right?
And it's credited to Apogee, and it was their
their system.
So I'm guessing that. I mean, I'm at a loss to think where else it might have been. It would just make sense because it's fur and stuff.
Didn't Rick Baker just announce his retirement? I think he did. He's not getting as much work as he used to. So.
This is quite.
It's time when phones were still like video phones. They're still the future, but nowadays, no one.
But again,
I rarely ever talk to someone on my phone via video.
Throughout the 90s, these looked brand
new.
Oh
yeah, of course.
I mean, now they're you can see they're tube televisions and stuff, and that's kind of obsolete. But at the time, this was
developed by like Sinclair or something.
It looks amazing. I mean, it looked amazing at the time. Don't you just love how everything within this building, they've kind of created this it is this sort of weird ensemble theme where you've got characters who walk into a room, such as this courier guy here has walked through several stories of the building, and we're meeting and we're interacting with different things, and we're also seeing different parts of the building as well. I can't imagine how they plan this and
heavy storyboarding, mate.
Well, not just that, but even the writing, especially in the more so in the writing.
Especially where the writing is kind of very all over the place, its ideas, trying to keep that all in sync.
There's a great sense of geography. You kind of know where everything is. You know where that ground floor they use, the atrium kind of area they use repeatedly. This spice of life thing, I think they mentioned what floor it is. It feels kind of like in the middle, and you kind of think that the offices that Billy and Marla are on, they're probably on another level, but you kind of got it worked out in your head exactly. You kind of know where you are at all times.
Oh, this bit always kind of freaked me out.
The giant spider. Look, all the gags as well, just endless gags. It's like an Aladdin's cave of just visual gags in here.
See, many people kind of sort of, when they compare the two, a lot of people still prefer the sort of horror element of the first one, but the more I watch Gremlins 2, the more I kind of have more fondness for it over the first one. I mean, Joe Dante says he prefers this one to the original one. I think he openly admitted that he makes more money from this one in terms of the long term, I think, maybe. But the film didn't do very well though when it came out. I think down to people kind of being put off by its change in tone.
Oh, don't you just love this toilet sequence? Again,
yeah.
This men's room looks like...
Exactly. The weird thing is, going back to Terminator 2, it's like in Skynet, when they go into the... Or Cyberdyne, they go into the men's room, and it looks very, very similar.
But with all the kind of the marble surfaces.
Oh, yeah.
The steel.
The future is grey.
But isn't that kind of now as well, too?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really seamless though. Just all the different scales of Gremlins that they've got going on here.
I love this bit when he strokes his head and he purrs.
The other thing I really like about these films is that the editing too breathes. There's much more work is done with the camera work, with the cinematography, and with the music.
It's far more confident as well. Yeah, the music is really kind of like it's obviously with the shift in tone. It's just far more comical and
it's
far
so,
more
has
a greater sense of excitement and kind of playfulness to it.
Yeah, well, it's scored. It's in some ways it's scored a bit like a Looney Tunes cartoon in places in the comedy areas, but you've still got all this great stuff like Gizmo's theme, which is beautiful.
Oh yeah,
I do love the cat likeness of Gizmo.
Yeah,
I liken him very much to tortoiseshell cats.
Yeah.
Which are mostly female, so I always think of Gizmo
kind
as
of short-tempered as well.
But I always, but because they're factually usually female. I think they're something like
male ones are ginger, just ginger cats.
But so I've always likened Gizmo because I think of him as a tortoiseshell. I always thought of him as a her. I love this scene too, the music where we see Daniel Clamp walking into the office, and he's sort of look at his eyeliner as well. The way he's kind of he's like looking into the corners of the room. But when
he's posing, as soon as he walks in, it's like someone's ready to take a photograph of him.
But it's great acting because he's looking like when you're a theatre performer and you're told to look right at the back corners of the audience.
It's also got a very smoky atmosphere to it as well, obviously because she's fucking chain smoking all the way through it. But
is she smoking in the office?
Yeah, she was smoking earlier. Yeah,
you never get. I don't know. You never really get a sense. It always feels like because you got that giant ventilator in the background too and stuff. It always feels like it's never there. It feels like the building's kind of breathing it out. It's like a body, isn't it?
Oh sure, it's alive, Clamp Towers.
And here's this where we're kind of realising too that Mr. Clamp also likes the idea of having kind of the smaller, more human elements to the glass and steel. Do you just love the way it's directed? And there are all these great sort of 3 shots and 2 shots. There are very few kind of very close up reaction shots and stuff. It's all everything's choreographed like it's a proper comedy. I really like Haviland Morris, by the way. I think she's amazing. She's amazing in 16 Candles. Have you ever seen that film?
No,
John
I've
Hughes
not
film.
seen that one.
And also the Madonna film, Who's That Girl? She's very funny in too. I think she's a brilliant actress.
There's something else I saw in more recently. I just can't put my finger on it.
The costume designs for all of them are just as good as the production design, I think, too. Have you noticed that thing that she's wearing on her neck? It's like a little theatre mask.
It's like half a BAFTA shoved on it.
I mean, we could talk more about the story, but it does often feel kind of like Mars Attacks, the Tim Burton film, where you've kind of got a very loose structure, and it's used as a kind of a playing field more for the gags.
Yeah.
Not to say that there isn't a story. There is a story, absolutely, and I think it's got a great theme to.
It's a great. Gremlins 2 is a great example of seeing a cartoon in action.
But that's about something.
Yeah.
It's not about nothing.
It's not like a 20-minute or 10-minute thing. It's like an hour and a half feature, probably more than that. That's a kind of wacky cartoon with this kind of creepy gremlins thrown in. And that's what it... Ideally, when you look at it, that's what Gremlins should be about. The horror element works just as well, but if you saw it on paper, you'd probably think Gremlins would be this kind of wacky comic book style movie, or comic book or cartoon.
I think it's really clever to set it in the city and
well, it's the next big step, isn't it? You've gone from a village to like Billy and Kate,
Listen, I got a big favor to ask you. Gizmo's here.
That furry thing?
Well, yeah, he's up in my desk drawer.
I like also how they set up Marla as being this.
There is some good news.
She's set up as a character, kind of fight for the affections of Billy, although she's not really. She's just having a bit of city life fun, isn't she?
Yeah. And she's instantly impressed once Clem shows an interest.
Yeah. It seems all sort of
superficial.
Business geared and selfish.
Yeah.
And just part of the game of being out there. And these are kind of naive kids from outside of town, from the country, who don't really quite get it.
Yeah.
But they make great fun of Kate in this, because in the first film she's got the whole thing where
the whole depressing speech, but then when they go to do it again, they're just like, just move on.
With her dad having died in the in the Santa Claus
stuck
accident.
in the chimney.
Yeah. So she's constantly being made a fool of, but she plays it completely straight. Well, she doesn't play. She does play. She managed to get just this perfect ground.
Yeah.
And you never think about it. You never even think about her performances.
Look at his phone.
It's like a tortoise shell. John Astin, of course, was in Erie, Indiana, which was a Joe Dante produced
was it?
TV show. Yeah, he was a regular in that too, and of course he was Gomez in the Addams Family.
Oh God!
As well, yeah. Look at his keen eyes.
Yeah, and his ears are moving.
I could just.
But did Chris Wallace return to do number 2 as well? Or was it just all Rick Baker's team?
Chris Wallace was doing Arachnophobia.
That's right.
At this time, and also was directing The Fly too.
Oh.
So he's
too busy. Yeah.
Skipped out this one.
I really like the design for the new Gremlins, or the new Mogwais, because it's great they had different versions. It wasn't just all equal amount and just having stripe.
Also, the cat-like characteristics. I noticed in here, in the photography, they put little glints in. They purposely put these little glints, like cat eyes.
Oh yeah.
Into Gizmo's eyes, and it's really only Gizmo they do that to. And it reminds you of kind of a cat looking at, sleeping for food.
Who was your favourite kind of Mogwai out of the new ones?
Well, Gizmo's always
everyone's
favourite.
Of course, but out of the villains,
it's difficult, isn't it?
I like the one that's completely bonkers.
The Daffy one.
Yeah. ooh, the thick one,
They're not particularly cute.
No, those ones aren't. No, but then I always Stripe is proper menacing, isn't he?
Okay.
Even as a Mogwai. You know.
Look how devastated Gizmo looks as well. They've created a fun playground too for them to be playing around with the paints and. It's hard to just not stop. I could sit down and just watch this a million times on a loop and always find something new in it.
Did you ever get a chance to play the video game of Gremlins 2?
The NES one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely adored that game.
Yeah. Well, it felt spiritually sort of the same world, didn't it? It had
It
the
was a
same
really good
music.
kind of like translation of the film.
Yeah.
Young guys, all they care about is one
No, they really nailed it, I thought.
power. Not talking about ruthless.
So they never really try and kill Gizmo. They just kind of get rid of him, you know.
I think
So that's kind of live action there a minute ago because it kind of felt like actual someone's real hand in a puppet's, you know, like a little puppet glove thing. And just pull these little wristband off.
possibly. Who
Yeah,
knows
it
the
seems
scale.
so smooth, you know.
I mean, not only are you building the puppets and having to do several scales of those, but also the building itself is completely fake as well.
Yeah. But
So-
also because their arms are so small as well, the restrictions of trying to puppeteer them as well.
Well, they don't bend at the elbows.
No,
do
they don't. No, it's just like a hand puppet, you
Mm.
know.
It's fun.
God, you've got to redo that again.
I love the hypnotic camera work as well. So much fun. And the voiceover guy in the foyer as well. Constant.
Oh,
the tannoy.
Yeah.
So much fun. I think
Voice activated list, guy. 1990. That would always go wrong.
But this all seems pretty. I mean, the ideas are still.
When they go to the frozen yogurt kind of section, that it feels something from the 80s because they've got this kind of
definitely, yeah.
strip neo lighting, and it felt like something just out of a mall, you know.
Mm. Well, that's the thing about the building as well. It seems to be an all-encompassing. It's not just an industrial park, but it's also a leisure centre.
It came out
as
in
well,
1990. It's obviously made in '89, so it is very much an 80s kind of film. But it's kind of that crossover to, you know, what was going on at the time in terms of, you know, with clothes and
No,
and
but
technology, you know.
But the building itself feels like a weird new development where you're mashing over things like there's leisure areas.
It's kind of a bit like the Fox building, you know, Die Hard is this kind of new structure because they built that at the time when they did Die Hard, so it's got this kind of new.
Yeah, but if you look at the clients who are inside the plant building, like you've got the spice of life at one end, but then you've got lawyers at one end, and then you've got
then you've got all the people coming in, like the public. The
got-
public come in like it's some sort of Disney resort, you know.
this song here that's playing over the top. It's by the Thompson Twins called "Bombers in the Sky," and it's a rare. I think it's a promo only.
That's right, because you
Cle-
sent me that link once to it, and I was like, "Wait,
It took me 10 years to find it. It was
highly collectible."
It doesn't sound anything like how it does in the on the album version of the.
Oh right, kind of like a B-side mix of it, isn't it?
Love the Canadian. I mean, this is another thing where they go nuts. This is just them going out for dinner, but they make it
Sort
a
of
Canada
themed restaurant,
Yeah,
you know.
and they really play it up as well.
Finally getting to know each other.
They make a Molson
They
reference.
get, also, their eyeline is like mousse or something shoved in their face. Just got to kind of
yeah.
look underneath it.
They're working around the the scenery,
It's all
and it makes
plastered,
it
you
makes
know.
it more awkward than it already is.
Yeah.
I see us swallowing up the publicity bomb. Really?
I like too how there's so much red in this Canadian area with the Mountie costumes.
Yeah, and her
and it's
hair
like-
just blends perfectly well with
yeah,
it.
yeah. It seems like her domain.
Yes. Yes.
But I wonder how that fits into it, having a... It's almost like a city without any identity, and that they've gone to a Canada-themed restaurant.
It
And,
feels supposed to be New York, but it doesn't. Yeah, it fits within that mould. Like, yeah, it's believably New York. But
I love the
Some mousse,
the chocolate
eh?
mousse. The literal chocolate mousse.
Well, I gotta go. I got this appointment.
You can see. I mean, look how much money is on the screen there, just for this one.
That's a big
tiny
budget
little
film, wasn't it? It's like 50 million.
sequence. You get the sense that the whole film's just been lavished on all the way through. No expenses spared.
As John Hammond would say.
And this is fun too because it's so blatant that this isn't Gizmo, but she plays along with it anyway.
It's Gizmo on acid, you know.
I mean, just look at the puppeteering; it's amazing.
When he doesn't like it, he's like, "Nyeh," throws it back at her.
Just the amusement.
That's something out of Looney Tunes, that is.
Yeah. Well, the sound effect.
Yeah, speeds up.
But just look at, I love Phoebe Cates' performance, the way she's just, again, she's like Christopher Lee earlier, she's
it seems
totally
so
straight.
real that she's
yeah.
interacting with this completely mad puppet, and you know,
She's not in any
you wouldn't
way...
get that reaction if it was like a CGI thing that wasn't there.
Well, it's not just that, it's the tone of her performance as well. She could have been playing it a lot more broader, she could have been on the joke, she could have been a bit more ironic, and it would kill it, but because she's playing it very innocently... but at the other end, you got this gremlin that's like it's making fun of the gremlins, of the idea of gremlins as well. And so you got these two polar opposites in one scene. It's very funny.
Honey, did you feed him?
Sort of.
Was Steven Spielberg still attached to this? I think he was, wasn't he?
Well, this is an Amblin film.
Yeah. I think obviously Stephen would have been all for it, wouldn't he? The changes. You can see there, he's got the orange machine his dad made on the left.
And jetting out a Twinkie that's got about 5 times the cream a Twinkie would have in it.
Yeah. Love Twinkies.
But it's funny. It's so funny. So well devised.
Not if they don't eat after midnight.
This undesirable city dwelling that they live in.
Sorry.
It makes you think, where did they get all that chocolate from?
They eat a lot of junk food, don't they?
But don't you think it's interesting as well too, the way that they in this film they really make fun of the rules of Gremlins as well.
Oh, they do, yeah. As soon as one goes into the control room and the guy goes, if they go over, on a plane, they go change time zones.
It's also a question, I guess, once you've done the first film, which is you've got this ridiculous B-movie idea concept of you cannot feed them after midnight.
Yeah.
And that's very unclear parameters.
Oh,
but they do it so they play it so straight.
Yeah.
And it becomes kind of terrifying in moments, even though there's a huge element of comedy in the first Gremlins. It's a very funny film too.
Yeah.
But there's a darkness to it.
Sure.
And the second one, it's like, where do you go with that once you've done that once? Because it's such a loose idea, loose rules. So the only place to go is to make fun of those rules.
Oh yeah.
And I kind of get that too with Texas Chainsaw and Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which I love as well. I almost feel the same about the Death Wish movies when they got to Death Wish 3.
It's completely bonkers.
Death Wish 3 feels like the Gremlins 2 or Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 of that series, where they just kind of go, there's nowhere to go. Let's just see what we can get out of this in terms of humour and fun.
I love Dick Miller's like, what was that? As a kid, I always kind of presumed he wouldn't return because he, looks like he got killed in the first one. It's like a run over by a plough,
I love the joke about we had this apple pie, but somebody sat on the bus. and Jerry Goldsmith is scoring this so affectionately too. And it's funny how his wife comes in and she's got the camera, hasn't she, that's used throughout.
Constantly taking photographs. of
Which
people's
conveniently
faces.
can kill the gremlins
Yeah.
as well. So they're setting these things up. Love that line about the pie in the bus. But it's like wall-to-wall music. The music kind of drives it along and pushes it. I don't want to say it's theatrical, but it kind of is, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, here's the yogurt bar sequence we were mentioning.
This is so 80s now.
With a
This
great...
is kind of like 88 with like Rick Astley kind of
the
like
music's
music.
the music's Jasmine Guy. It's a track that's produced by Oliver Lieber, who did a lot of Paula Abdul stuff. So immediately it puts you in that time that we remember.
That's not the same thing.
But frozen yogurt.
But there's also another big thing in the Seinfeld series. They open like a frozen yogurt. Everyone's obsessed with it, but they think it's like fat free, but it's not. You know.
Well, whenever you get something that's new and it's trendy, I mean, there's...
Yeah, they say it's healthy, but they keep kind of overdose on it, you know. Hey, Jerry Goldsmith in a second.
Yeah.
What's going on here? Did you say there are rats?
She said there's no rat.
That's not what you said.
But it's that attack on consumer culture, and as I said before,
He's still stuck in these revolving doors.
the function of the clamp tower is kind of ambiguous. It seems to be a rental space, as we said, for anything from a lawyer to a slice of life.
Yeah.
But then you've also got yogurt bars. You've got a gift shop in the background there. You saw a nightclub area just in the established shot of the yogurt bar. It seems to be like it's a mixture of retail and office.
Yes. I don't think any kind of building.
It's like an all-encompassing complex thing, and those kind of things were happening at that time. I mean, I guess something in England, we had Canary Wharf was going up around the same time as well. But it's everything that comes along with that too. It's the idea. I mean, even like the idea of a shopping mall too, which Romero sent up in Dawn of the Dead. The idea of people coming to one area, kind of sort of unnaturally, you know. By
it's a natural instinct to go there, you know.
But it's a very unnatural thing to do, to drive and park and then do this, you know, and repeat and
yeah.
And keep
I love this guy. He's like a Canadian comedian, isn't he? He was in The Burbs as well.
Right.
What's in the bag?
He's so funny. I think he popped up in Groundhog Day as well.
I really like Joe Dante's visual style as well.
Oh yeah,
and
I love his stuff.
His work here with cinematographer John Horror. Look at the big projections of light he's got going across the background. It is like a giant comic book movie, isn't it?
He's always got these kind of like
Cartoons.
different styles of colours just thrown in.
And Dutch camera angles. I love it. I mean, there seemed to be a thing around this time too with these Amblin movies. I'm talking like, obviously Spielberg's films, but Dante's films as well. Poltergeist, the Toby Hooper film, and all of the films that I guess kind of influenced or spun off from that too as well. They did these kind of big, long, elaborate camera moves and tried to do storytelling in a more interesting way.
I love the rest of all these mimes.
Yeah.
So good, isn't it?
Well, it's like they can get that sight gag in there, so they do it.
Using a rope to get himself out, you know. So clever.
6 hours. They probably made their cocoons by now.
How long did they take to...
In the first one, I always loved it how the egg cracked. You got this sort of sound that comes out of it. You know, you see his hands come out as goo, but they're far more kind of juicy and like gross in this one. You know.
I remember when I watched the first Gremlins film, I'd eaten, I think I'd eaten some fried chicken. And I had the remains were left around, and then they did the cocoon sequence, and I was just thinking, I've just eaten. But there is more of a fun to the gore in this. It's not. I don't know. There's something about it. If I watch like
It's Gizmo doing his Die Hard moment, isn't it?
Right, yeah.
Stuck on an airfed.
But a lot of gory films of this time, like I'm thinking like the Ghoulies films and those kind of things. I can't eat and watch
And
those
The Fly
films
as well, you know.
I don't know. It seems when it's a weird thing to say. I don't know why. Maybe it's a nostalgic thing. I don't know. But kind of like if I watch have you seen the Garbage Pail Kids movie?
Bits.
I can't watch that and eat because it's so repulsive. And the Ghoulies films too.
Ghoulies, yeah.
It's just like. Bleh. Whereas with this, I could sit and eat anything and watch this. It feels like I don't know. Maybe I don't know why. It's a psychological thing.
It's a Saturday night movie with having a pizza or something, you know.
But it also feels like a Saturday morning cartoon at the same time for adults. Like the little camera shake there when kids get pulled over. What are those up there? Those big hanging things that they've got, like power, whatever they are, power beams hanging from the ceiling of the clamp atrium.
You're young. You know everything.
And even the book I Took Manhattan that he's got there, and the flashlights.
He is kind of like a good guy Lex Luthor, you know? The corporate Lex Luthor. Oh, poor Gizmo. I love that they're hiding, they're not showing you the gremlins, you know, like their faces at the moment. They've all just kind of just hinted at what they look like.
But even when they're torturing Gizmo, it's kind of funny, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Last night, so wonderful.
He's in so much trouble, isn't he?
Marla, this is Kate. This is Mike.
Oh my goodness, I have to go.
But it's two naive young people working in the city
Yeah.
and having full advantage taken of them.
Honey, that's...
And they're not registering any of it. They're taking it all personally. It's all the mistakes you make in your 20s, really.
You're in big trouble.
But honey, you don't think that...
He's great, isn't he?
Yeah. He's always got this great sort of natural innocence to him, you know.
Oh, I love these sets. Look at them.
Counselor, how surprising. Sir, I need to speak to you, even though you got yourself arrested here last night.
Look at the table that Forrester just got up from.
Sure.
It's amazing. So much detail, so much to look at. I'd love to see this on the big screen.
Oh,
I really
definitely.
would.
I'm sure that the
Look at the elaborate camera move, all in one shot. That happens frequently. We haven't even picked up on about 1 million of those that have happened already. There's so much love on the screen. And here they are, they're sending up the rules.
Yeah, sending up the whole theory of the gremlins.
But again, it's played in a 3-shot where you've got
Yeah, as you were saying earlier, there's quite a lot.
you've got
of free
Billy
shots.
close to the
I
camera.
love the Asian cameraman's like shh, takes 1 million photographs.
And they're doing. I mean, here again to the Archery Channel.
We're very quiet. We can go in here and watch a program being videotaped.
But no, we were saying before. I was mentioning about Dawn of the Dead as well, and the idea of living in a natural way, and that's what this film is about. It's about society gearing itself more to technology and these just bonkers material aspirations, and a way of living in the city that's just mad. That just it seems like we kind of gone beyond capacity with. We can't cope with it, and ultimately, at the end of the film, the dream is then to go back to what do they call it, Clamp Gardens or whatever.
Yeah,
Clamp Falls.
because instead of going kind of
Clamp Corner. Clamp.
yeah, so
Clamp
looking
Corners.
forward, look backwards, don't they?
But no, but going back
Because
to
he wants to sort of the town that Billy grew up in. You know, he
yeah,
wants
but
that
and
aesthetic.
it's hinted at that that's where Clamp came from as well,
Yeah.
and that's what we all kind of everyone's aspiring to do. We want to create a sense of community. We mentioned before there's elements of that in Darkman too, with the idea of redeveloping the urban redevelopment thing, and also there's that line in RoboCop 2 as well where the mayor said I think the boss at OCP says that. Yeah, the boss at OCP says that they're going to build buildings of steel and glass for everybody to live in, and the mayor says, "Yeah, that's just exactly how we grew up, isn't it? That's not
exactly.
where we came from." And I think there seemed to be something in the air in 1989.
Oh yeah. Well, if people's concerns with redevelopment, you know.
But also the idea of losing community, and this isn't where we came
It's
from.
nice that with the character Stripe, they don't try and play him for laughs. You know, he's instantly shown as a threat.
Yeah, well, he's
straight
a
away.
link directly to the first film.
Yeah.
isn't he? But this is I love that tone shift. Sorry, we just talked over a really important scene there. But it's where the real menace actually comes
The
out.
horrors kick back in.
But even then, he throws a comic book punch,
Yeah.
doesn't he? Oh, she's great, isn't she? Kathleen Freeman. She's so
Another
funny.
character is getting all a bit sloshed as well because she keeps drinking more of the wine.
She's so fun. Oh, you can just see that they're just having so much fun doing it. It's just really, really talented people having fun and entertaining. I love her slight dodderiness as well. It's brilliant.
Oh, the show must go on. She's like,
I like how it does. You know, in any horror film, if that happened, you'd be thinking, right, that's it. No, you're gonna. But I love how in this the characters are like, yeah, let's keep going forward. But that's the kind of theme with disasters that involve technology. I guess it's like the Titanic as well. You know, when they kind of knew that things were going wrong, they kept going. They kept going as well. And you kind of get that with this building. It's and any kind of technology.
they're kind of a bit blind, I know, to
disaster.
Yeah.
Well, this idea of
They're too confident in the technology.
Yeah. And you get that's what this Clamp Towers is. It's a symbol of that. And the microwave, which is a jab to the film. It's so funny, isn't it? How they make this really spectacular pyrotechnic with the microwave blowing up, and something that should that would normally happen in 5 minutes, they make it happen in 2 seconds.
Yeah, yeah.
With a lightning beam. The Looney Tunes sound effects again.
It's all interesting to see how kind of tall they are, because it actually looks really tall there, because that
Well, Joe Dante's shooting everything from so low as well.
Oh yeah, but that counter's quite high up.
It's so funny.
This I was kind of freaked. They really kind of nailed the visuals for how the gremlins kind of multiply, and obviously it happened in the first one. It was quite near the end when he Struck got the water, but this just looks really kind of like those big zits trying to pop,
So much detail. The pasta, I remember not wanting to eat pasta for a long time after seeing this as well. After seeing Daffy covered in pasta. It's interesting, I forget his name, the actor who's playing the aspiring Asian cameraman. He's also in 16 Candles with Haviland Morris.
Really?
Yeah, that's quite interesting.
Oh, because I just kind of noticed he's got CCN, so that play on CNN.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Sir, there's something weird going on in Studio D.
Just look at Robert Picardo. He's so funny.
So even the torches don't work properly,
There are loads of awkward moments in this where in any B movie actors would just look wooden and sort of standing around where they actually they have all these little character nuances and they're given fun stuff to do. Like that moment where that torch doesn't work, he could have just been stood there not doing anything. Oh sir, we've got something wrong. They give him this little thing to do. There's something everywhere in this film at all times.
Look, sir, the pest infestation monitor is reading critical.
That synthy music.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. Gotta respect the chain of command. Yeah, they only respect Stripe, Who actually doesn't. Stripe goes off, does his own thing in this film. He doesn't hang out with the other gremlins.
This also does a lot of jukebox soundtracking as well too, taking existing songs and sticking them over the top of scenes as well. It's not just Jerry Goldsmith music straight through. I mean, that's more common now with, I guess, something like Iron Man and all these other kind of big blockbusters where they just throw a track in here and there, but it wasn't so common back then. But it seems really appropriate here because this is...
Well, the 80s kind of had that, because the film studios were trying to, when the soundtrack came out, it was just for the pop music though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was contemporary, whereas this has all kinds of songs that are thrown over for good effect for different scenes. And also in a lot of films, like it would be sort of diegetic. It'd be music that would be used to put in a nightclub, for example. They'd have music played over the top.
Oh, it's like Inner Space had quite a lot of that.
Yeah.
Stuff.
But you didn't really hear jukebox stuff where they'd taken a track and thrown it over the top.
No.
Oh, look at this set. This set is immense. I love this set. I love his performance. I love everything.
You can see how bored he is, isn't he?
He's got everything in the world.
Yeah, he's still bored.
But look, the clouds outside. You can see that this is above the
A
clouds.
huge beam of light.
Beautiful, beautiful shot. It's amazing. Doesn't look like a set at all. It just looks amazing.
You can imagine on set that light would be so hot sitting there.
So this is a great scene too. But it's the board guy, isn't it, at the top of the pyramid,
yeah.
kind of posing, looking out over the skyline. I thought this was kind of really scary when I initially saw it.
Ha! That
This
old
bit.
computer she's got. My dad had that when I was a kid. Old Macintosh.
But here,
Well, he puts like a mouse trap, doesn't he? In a sandwich.
Yeah. But she's off
Tell you
screen.
what, Yeah, you don't see it. Yeah, it's kind of like whip sound.
She
Don't you?
disappears. There's a great pullback shot too. There's a zoom with a there's like a camera move here. It's like a dolly jib thing with a zoom to reveal the drum. It's so much fun. There's a lot of very technical direction and filmmaking and performance in this too, where the actors have to sort of be in on what the director's planning in their mind, because it'll be things like you have to hold a stare and look across a room at something and look at an unnatural eye line so it looks real for the camera.
Yeah.
And then wait
Because
for
you've got to wait for the puppeteer to queue up with them.
And then the
Because they
puppeteer-
probably can't see them.
But it's not just the puppets, it's also the camera moves as well, and the choreography of those, and walking on the right side so that when they cut to somewhere else, there's no crossing of the line.
Yeah.
In filmmaking, so the 360-degree rule isn't broken. Sorry, the 180-degree rule.
Oh, it always kind of freaked me out as a kid when it grabbed his head and scratched him.
Yeah, there are little bits here and there, aren't there? Of violence.
Yeah. But I do love it when it goes through, and then Billy comes running in, and it kind of like regurgitates a bit of it. It goes bloop and pops up, and he's like,
You were talking too about unnatural living. I mean, the other thing that I think the Gremlins represent too in this, just by purely their environment that they've been brought up in, it's saying something about the environment they're brought up in. This sort of media. I mean, it's a bit of a media hub too, in that it's of course, even though he's got clients coming in from different professions, this is the cable network's building, so it is sort of fundamentally a TV channel building.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
And you've got all this different kinds of media that these gremlins are being exposed to, and they haven't been outside of this building, so they don't know any better.
Yeah.
So they're copying everything that's on TV. They're massively they're just eating. They're consuming so much media,
Sure.
and that's where the brain gremlin comes in, because he's also got that serum as well, the brain serum.
Sure.
But they're everything they've got is from watching stuff on television, and so they're doing things like recreating Busby Berkeley music numbers. They're recreating moments from Phantom of the Opera. They're recreating moments from Wizard of Oz, because it's the only life experience. They've taken everything from TV. Their life is TV. It's almost like the film.
Well, the first one doesn't do that at all.
No, but that's the whole point of having this set in this building.
Sure.
That's what they've done with it, rather than just making it
Because the first one kind of goes with the classic kind of theory of what a gremlin is, what they would do.
Yeah.
Just cause mayhem,
In a small town.
Yeah,
In a
yeah.
very nostalgic sort of B-movie fashion.
Oh, sure.
I mean, it's an affectionate nod to sort of 50s
Oh, yeah.
horror, whereas here it's doing something more with that. I mean, you can imagine somebody who had great affection for kind of 50s horror, maybe not thinking the same way about where media was going in the late 80s,
Yeah, yeah.
and then putting the two together. What if you had... So you got these creatures, and they're influenced like the kids are of the time.
Yeah. Because they're all consuming all this sugar and stuff.
Well,
they're
you
all
were saying,
hyper,
yeah. But also you were saying before about cable networks and things, and there being sort of an influx of different TV
people
channels.
starting to get far more kind of variety of channels, and especially in the UK where we were stuck to just 1 to 4. For
Well, it's
so many
choice,
years.
consumer choice.
Yeah,
This, that, and if you put a kid in front of a TV, Saturday morning cartoons, and they watch 6 hours, and they're doing that non-stop,
Sure.
or every day they're consuming 4 hours of TV, or something's going to go through. And that's what it's. I guess that's what they're saying with the Gremlins here, because they're all taking up the personalities of Warner Brothers characters.
Yeah. Oh, this is a great sort of Leonard Maltin kind of
Well, who
cameo.
famously
'Cause
didn't like the original.
Yeah,
film.
yeah.
Today we'll start with our video watch. Just re-released on video, the movie Gremlins, so I really can't imagine why.
That's quite funny. They've got.
I think Joe Dante had to come to the balls to sort of, I don't care what you said. Let's have you on it anyway,
Sliding, mean-spirited clop.
But he liked the sequel though. Probably because he was in it,
But there are a lot of asides like this throughout the film.
And you got the Hulk Hogan kind of cameo
Well,
as well, when
it breaks-
WF was huge at that point.
It breaks the fourth wall as well.
Yeah. And also, they have a play on the thing where the woman comes out of the theatre and complains about the violence, and they go, "We don't rate the movies; we only show them."
See, look, more sight gags.
Also, a little play on the
Genetically modified
yeah,
food.
and
Big
things. Even Jerry Seinfeld kind of said this seedless watermelon. This
Yeah.
scientists wasting their time on kind of these kind of really bizarre ideas for fruit.
Well, but then you buy food from the supermarket now, and look how long it lasts.
Yeah.
So I think it's not just about media, as we were saying, and consuming things. It's also about modern life. It's about things you're literally consuming. It's about just the bizarre ways in which modern living has.
I love how he turns into that kind of vegetable gremlin. He just burps his way through it. You know. What did he just drink? Did he just drink the brain stuff?
No. It's later, isn't it?
Oh, okay.
Well, maybe it is.
Yeah, it was
No,
the
you're
brain.
right.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Brain hormone that creature's drinking. Good boy. Nice boy. That's a good creature.
Look at Christopher Lee, so great.
Let's talk this over.
I love that, the Gremlins thinking there. That's great, and a great puppeteering.
You think as well, most of these sets were probably raised up quite high.
Yes.
And they've got, they're like Swiss cheese, they've got holes everywhere so the puppeteers can get in.
Sure.
And they're all shot in different stages, and they've all got these elaborate camera moves that have to be choreographed as well. Like, it's a lot of technical work. It's amazing, but you never think about it when you're watching it.
No. You just kind of accept it and, and just think, oh, it's maybe quite simple and straightforward, but it's far more difficult than you can possibly imagine.
And the voice of Tony Randall here.
What's Tony Randall done again?
He's a well-known American celebrity.
Did Frank Welker return to do some of the Gremlin voices?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Howie Mandel as well did Gizmo too. I think it's like a return of everyone.
Oh, he's got the Batman thing coming up.
But they used I believe they used a technique called, it was like a Gilder fluke, is the name of this technology that's used to lip sync the puppet.
Oh, right.
So they pre-record the voices. And here's the Harryhausen tipping of the hat.
Also, because he goes through the wall, you got the Batman logo, because Batman just came out and was huge.
All the actors are so good, aren't they?
Yeah.
Oh, this always made me cringe a bit. Being injected just underneath the chin.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of injections.
As I'm sure you're aware, sunlight poses a problem for our...
The character, the way that they differentiate between each gremlin is quite something. Look at the back. Can you see just in the background in these long shots? You can see there's so much activity going on.
Oh yeah, every shot there's something happening. There isn't just like a static kind of bit of dialogue thrown in. There's always something moving.
Do you know what? It reminds me a bit of. It's quite interesting. You know, Naked Gun. You know how they have lots of sight gags going on. And of course, Joe Dante had done episodes of Police Squad as well.
Yeah, National Lampoon's kind of movies where even something like Loaded Weapon 1, there's always there's supposed to be a gag every few seconds, but there's always something happening in the background, you know.
But this also manages to be a relatively, I don't know, it sounds mad to call it a straight genre, but it's dramatic as well at the same time. There's threat.
Yeah.
Loved it. I don't know how they did this. There's a great shot here where you see it swoop out. Can you see it swoops out the building?
Yeah.
And it comes into focus as it comes to the camera. If you just watch, as it trails down the back gremlin, as it comes towards.
That's good.
Yeah. Actually, there's a shot later on, where it happens. It's great.
Oh, that was it, because I said earlier about Clamp getting scratched, but it's when Dick Miller gets scratched.
Yeah.
And you go down his head.
But look at another, as we said, another leisure area of the
it kind of looks like an airport lounge a little bit there. Then they got a stock market bit as well, you know.
Yeah,
so
well, I was saying earlier, it's
every floor's got something, isn't it?
But it's fundamentally a cable channel building.
A bit like Towering Inferno, where every floor's got something. You know, that film, they've got an architect's bit, and they've got every area's got something.
Yeah, but these are all different. This is the Clamp Cable Networks building. So Daniel Clamp, who is he's like a television, he's a Ted Turner type character, isn't he?
Yeah.
But he's also got there are all these other facets to the building. It's not just a media centre. Look at it.
Oh, Wilhelm screen there.
Just look at the scale of
so many
Gremlins.
puppets, it's crazy. I'll throw back to the first one.
Yeah.
But now they've got people living there as well, haven't they?
No,
Looks
this
like
is
that,
this
doesn't
is
it?
an
It's
office.
offices. Oh, it's
Yeah.
it's like a hotel now, for some reason.
Well, again, you're not quite sure where the client's end and things. This is great. This matte painting here, I love. Right, this is a
painting.
This is a matte painting by Matt World,
It's incredible.
and well, what's quite funny
You
is
can't see the join there slightly, yeah.
they call it the church of Cathedral of Saint Eva Marie. It's the actress from here. Watch this. The gremlin flies down. It comes into focus. See.
Yeah,
So that's great.
That
It's
was
a
great.
great
And it's
shot.
got an in-camera shot as well.
But Eva Marie Saint is the actress from North by Northwest. She's the female lead, and here they've made up the cathedral of Eva Marie.
Yeah.
But if you look at a lot of the location guides for this movie,
Yeah.
it says that this is actually a cathedral in New York. So it's a massive compliment to the visual effects work of this film.
Jesus.
That in many well-known location guides, they cite this as being an existing location proudly. Yeah, but it's all fake, and this is all on the Warner Brothers backlot.
This bit, yeah.
So the whole thing is just completely fake, but you'd never know.
But you don't know. It's so
No.
seamless because you were saying that it's cut to the back lot now. You wouldn't think that at all. It's a great blend. The lighting completely matches.
Because there's two ways you can kind of go as well with the Gremlins, I guess, in the sequel, in that you can either keep them in that self-contained building where there's darkness and you're kind of you're keeping them away from windows as well. So by their rules, you're never exposing them to the sunlight, or you can set the film at night and have them run rampant through the city.
Yeah.
So it's clever how they've managed to contain the Gremlins,
Sure.
but also keep things interesting by having it in this kind of media centre with this giant foyer area that's got all these different trades in it. It's sadistic, isn't it? The way Gizmo gets
It's
hit
just
by that
bullying
train.
Gizmo, isn't
Oh,
it?
look at this. This is great. Look how Christopher Lee... Everyone's going manic here running, and Christopher Lee just comes out. He looks like he's in a really straight movie, doesn't he?
It's like a serious actor's been thrown into this kind of like mad film, Hasn't been told that it's actually a comedy or something.
I love how Joe Dante does this. Can you see this now? Christopher Lee's looking to his eye line is out of shot. He's kind of walks towards the camera and then looks to the left and right, and it's like he's reflecting on the. He's not looking at what's immediately around him. He's thinking about in his head his thoughts.
Yeah.
And you get that. I love stuff like that. I love details like that Joe Dante does.
I bet this bit kind of confused everyone in the cinema when I first saw it. Like, what's wrong with the film?
Again, because I saw this at a supermarket initially. They had the version. They've got a version where the video tracking kind of goes off, and
they changed it for the video release.
Yeah,
then.
have you seen that?
No, I don't remember that because I've been so used to the DVD of it for so many years because I sort of saw it on tape as a kid, but I don't. My memory isn't that.
Yeah, the
strong.
tracking kind of changes, and then they go through. You see a bunch the channel being changed a number of times, and then there's John Wayne talking to the Gremlins. Yeah,
Man, I have to look. It must be that'll be on YouTube now. Clip.
it's
maybe.
it's on
the DVD itself. Yeah. Let's not watch that extra feature.
But I'm like you. I'm affectionate for this version
Yeah. I'm so familiar with.
because I just love to see it at the cinema. And his, I think it's his Paul Bartel.
We don't make them.
I quit. Call the union. Call the national.
But this is probably the boldest kind of to camera breaking of the fourth wall. That
Yeah,
there
it
in the
is.
film.
Yeah.
No way. The seven dwarfs. Enough.
It's the most sort of
There you go, gets Mr. Hogan.
self-aware moment. This is all one shot as well. He's still a celebrity in wrestling, isn't he, Hulk Hogan? I don't know. Don't really know.
Sorry?
Hulk Hogan. He was huge around this
Oh yeah,
time.
he's absolutely huge. Yeah.
But he's relevant now too.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
It's amazing. He's 25 years ago.
Yeah. He's still pretty big, isn't he? Like, very still ridiculously buff.
Yeah.
If I were you, I'd run the rest of Gremlins too, right now.
His energy is brilliant.
Sorry, folks. It won't happen again.
Seems you like to follow you to Suburban Commando, didn't he?
I mean, I love that. I love the way that they break the fourth wall. As I say, they do all these things where it is really sort of massively ironic, and you get stuff like that now, I guess, with things like the Lego Movie and whatnot.
Yeah.
But in live action, not so much. It tends to still be quite broad, whereas here it still is kind of a horror film.
It just keeps breaking the boundaries all the time,
But there's still like a through line of drama.
Yeah.
There's still a serious element.
It still returns on track.
And it's not like something like Spaceballs or a Mel Brooks comedy where you're seeing members, the people directing the film or doing anything like that. They're never getting to that point. You know that bit in Spaceballs where there's a fight.
Or someone gets attacked and the cameraman will get killed or something like that.
Yeah, like really breaking it. I mean, there's one bit in the deleted scenes where you see a mannequin coming alive and screaming because of the gremlins.
Right.
You work a TV camera. Work a camera.
I am a camera.
I am a camera.
But there's still a balance. That's what's so fun about it.
No. This.
Because I think Robert Prosky's character, the grandpa, he's very much played straight. Dr. Catheter's played straight, Christopher Lee. Billy and Kate played straight. I'd argue as well Daniel Clamp
Yeah.
to Marla to some degree as well. And Forrester. And then everything else is kind of nuts.
Oh,
And then you've got an army of gremlins on top of that, who are completely self-aware.
I think it's the balance, isn't it? Because if you had a lot of these sort of human characters kind of being comical, it would be too much because you've got these gremlins being completely bonkers throughout.
But the gremlins seems motivated because they've only been in this area where all they're consuming is natural amounts of media and.
Oh sure.
It's called the broken glass in the lab here. And that's the other thing too, the idea of moderating all of this madness.
They've broken them all. But I do have some small assault weapons.
Oh no, poor bloke. The only female gremlin,
But that interesting relationship between Forster and Daniel Clamp, the way Daniel Clamp has these big visions and these big dreams
Yeah.
to do these big, sort of ambitious, to live out stuff that's well intentioned, but perhaps a bit wacky. But it's as you say, it's with good intentions, and then there's Forster's there to kind of moderate that as being the head of security and making sure the environment doesn't go completely dysfunctional, even though it's designed to fail.
Yeah.
Jerry Goldsmith's music's going nuts here, isn't it? Choreographed mayhem, and this is the death
this is
scene
amazing.
of
I love
Dr.
this
Catheter.
animation.
Yeah,
He gets the nastiest death, I think.
yeah, but it's still. I mean, it's a cartoon lightning bolt zizzing around him. I love even then as he comes, as Christopher Lee falls towards camera, you see his eyes registering in focus as he falls
Yeah.
down. Even to the end, he's just got such presence.
Uh-oh.
I think that's the fun of this film as well.
Spiders.
Maybe more than the first one is the enjoyment the gremlins get for all the suffering they cause. Even to themselves here with this gremlin with holes in his stomach.
Yeah, one got acid thrown in his face and he's still laughing, This little Rambo moment coming up now, isn't it? Because also Goldsmith scored Rambo, so...
The other thing about the film is it's kind of a relay race of who the villain is as well. I mean, the gremlins are obviously the chief villain, but there isn't even Dr. Catheter. He's not a bad person. He's doing unethical things with animals, but he's and he's curious of what's going on, but he kind of
Yeah.
gets swept up by the Gremlins as well.
Mm.
It seems that everyone's curiosity is kind of the villain to begin with, and then we've got the Gremlins themselves become the villain. Because Clamp clearly isn't a villain.
No.
I could just imagine though if I could imagine they could do another version of this where Clamp is a villain, and at the end you see him get offed.
Yeah.
But his
But
intentions.
you've
are
got
good.
you have to maintain that the Gremlins are the villains.
Mm.
You know, if you've got human villains as well, I think the only thing with the human villains of a human villain would be that they purposely multiplied the Gremlins, or
Yeah, if they were using him
yeah.
as a war machine or something,
Exactly.
which is I guess a possible avenue for a third one.
Yeah,
Wait, hold it.
It would be a military-based Gremlins movie.
sure.
That's not a fire in there.
But then that would be very difficult to kind of to shift in tone from.
Well, I don't know.
Especially this one.
I'm sure that a lot
you-
could be said about war at the moment.
Yeah.
Don't talk to me like I'm crazy. I'm not crazy. I was never crazy. I'm fine.
Let me in there.
Put me in there.
But there are, as we said, there's good. Clamp's intentions are good, and I guess the film's saying that too. That nobody wants anything bad to happen, really.
Also, you were saying earlier about the sort of jukebox of music. Now it's got this kind of rock music thrown in.
Metal.
Yeah.
But every trick is used too to,
That's
for
a really
effect. I
good
mean now,
silhouette, isn't it?
yeah. Well, we were using shadow puppets. He has to. Donald Clamp has to change his trousers.
Yeah.
Things are really bad out there.
Bad. It's horrible. Only one of my channels is still on the air.
Great dialogue.
In this building, real lives.
But
He
he's,
cares about the people
yeah.
as well. you
I mean,
know.
they make the cheap joke of, oh, the channels are down first, and then mentions the people.
Yeah, sure. His priorities are still in check, aren't they?
But it's well mannered. But you could imagine a version of this where he says, everybody get back to work. We need to get this programming out.
Oh, yeah.
And tonally it would go somewhere else, whereas
They come in electric too.
this is doing something else. It's trying to tell you that nobody wants anything bad to happen.
Mm.
Stuff just happens. Even Dr. Catheter, to some degree.
That's a weird VHS tape.
Maybe it will. Now.
But curiosity is also a big part of the first film as well, too, isn't it?
It is, yeah, but it's usually through the
And
eyes
human
of Billy,
nature.
though, isn't it? Though? Curiosity through Billy, though, isn't it? You think? In the first
Also
one?
the science teacher as well, who's
Yeah.
looking at Gizmo.
Well, so is the audience, though, you know. But now this one, their sense of curiosity is kind of pushed aside because they're well aware of the rules and who they are, you know.
Well, you also had characters like, I forget her name in the first one, the lady on the electric chairlift who gets killed,
Oh, Mrs. Beagle.
who's sort of set up as a villain too, but you end
Yeah.
up kind of, I mean, even that seems really cruel
Yeah.
when you see her demise, but she's actually been set up as a pretty nasty person.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, maybe she's...
Because
Dr.
there
Catheter-
was kind of a subplot in the first one that was kind of a lot of it's kind of deleted where Mrs. Beagle was in line with his corporate people trying to sell
Yeah.
off the land, you know.
But Dr. Catheter, I guess, is kind of the equivalent of her character in this film.
Mm.
We got information they don't have. That's how you take somebody out.
The energy of John Glover's performance is,
Oh, yeah.
is great.
But that's the tricky part, sir. You'll have to take care of that. Me? Yes, sir. You'll have to stay
I also love, like now, look how close they are to the actors to the camera.
The best bit, because he's so excited to use his new exit, you know, to get out, and he comes out this sort of lift through the ground, doesn't it?
I love how he's continuously always looking to the top corners.
Yeah,
of
he's
the
never
room.
he's never looks at camera.
That
you know.
I'm getting inspiration moment. That
Yeah, I've got an idea. You know, is that what film was that? That's the Beast on 20,000
Yeah.
Fathoms or something.
We forgot to mention Octoman at the beginning, which was Rick Baker's first film.
Was it?
Yeah,
Wait, was it that? Was a black and white film? Was that?
no,
What was
the
it called?
Octoman one where he's you see a
Yeah.
giant octopus
Oh,
person walking out of a
Oh.
truck.
Would you like me to bang away on it in the dark? Is that it?
And of course, Marla's the only person who's still working. She's
But
oblivious
she's still
to what's going on,
oblivious. Yeah.
because it means more to her to get ahead in the modern world. But again, you know, we were saying about the Gremlins are really influenced by the media that they're consuming. That's
Sure.
all the way through. Gizmo.
It's only got
Two.
one influence, really.
No, but at the beginning, Mr. Wing kind of disencourages.
Yeah, sure. TV.
Gizmo from watching it rots your brain kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then Gizmo out of curiosity watches it, and it just by seeing that one image, all of a sudden he's got it in his head.
He wants to be Rambo, you know.
Which in the end ends up saving the protagonist.
Sir, is the building on fire? No, that's a false.
So there's a good and a bad side to consuming too much television.
You got a guy in there in a Dracula costume broadcasting stuff with little green monsters. Are you trying to panic New York City?
Absolutely not. So the monsters are real? I didn't say that.
I didn't say that.
It's such good fun, isn't it?
I love that Dick Miller's got a bigger role in this film. He's such a great actor.
Again, with the containment of the location, having the secret exit and then having it disappear, and Dick Miller going through it, and nobody going through the front doors, and it all being kind of blocked off. It lets you play with the rules of the Gremlins within. So much. I wonder, they must have built like a couple of sets and just redressed them each time for the officers.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, you're never conscious when you're watching it. It's so well done. More fun shadow play.
There's quite a lot of it in this one, actually.
Yeah.
There's only a little bit of it in the first one.
Well, they're using every trick they can to get through. And I dare say, I think if they had access to more advanced computer-generated imagery at this time, they would have used it as well, I think.
Yeah, they would have done, yeah.
I think it's whatever works, really. And not necessarily for the characters. Maybe something like that transformation there, you might have... Instead of seeing two transformations where you...
Yeah, they probably would have had more scenes of the Gremlins kind of walking around. They could kind of, instead of having them just kind of bob in screen, you know, and just be a close-up all the time. And then would it have stood the test of time if they kind of used CGI just for the hell of it, just to have them, you know, kind of running around, you know?
An entire race of strange little beings.
I mean, I really don't want to get into the discussion of CGI versus practical and all that stuff.
No.
I just think that...
But also, it falls into that kind of discussion. If they've always kind of discussed the idea of doing a third film, but then I think it's now fallen into that realm of being a reboot they're discussing. So I don't think Joe Dante is involved.
I think the main question that
Oh, this is one of the best scenes in the film, I think. I love the speech that he gives.
what we want is, I think, what everyone wants, and what you and your viewers did.
The brain gremlin when he shoots the little...
You see the kind of... I always thought the Brain Gremlin sort of became the leader of the bunch.
Oh,
now.
definitely.
Yeah, he
Yes.
takes over, and Stripe just... He has no control over them, and because he's always going to let them do what they want to do. But he's more in line of just chasing after Gizmo and kind of putting him through pain.
But he's also the link between the Gremlins and the TV channel. In the most civilised sense, as he says.
Oh, it's a play on the old Gremlin, isn't it, from the cartoons?
Yeah.
The hat.
The beanie hat.
Yeah.
How is that civilized? No, clearly.
But he's got all this grafted culture, knowledge
Sure.
that enables him with Robert Prosky's character, Grandpa, to be able to do that scene where they're sitting down, they're having an interview. I mean, it's just things like that somehow they've just managed to tighten the idea of modern living in Gremlins.
What's that thing for?
These things can only come out when it's dark, so we've
I love how Joe Dante always has these moments where
3 hours.
there'll be a character who's doing something and then some guy just wanders
What
over.
are you doing? It's always like, yeah, member of the public, you know, just curious.
He really doesn't need to be there.
No. It just has to kind of throw a bit of comedy in.
It's fun. And it's usually a cameo as well.
Because that guy just came in to talk to Mr. Clamp. He's always a kind of New York kind of character, like a, you know, working class sort of person.
This is a little terrifying. Well, dentistry is obviously a huge fear.
Yeah.
But there's no blood in this bit either, is there?
No, it's just a thought of what he's going to do. 'Cause he's,
Yeah. He goes a bit marathon man. Goldsmith's music huge, isn't it? It's so big,
Yeah.
larger than life. Little train sound effect. Dr. Quatermass at the top right.
Oh,
you see?
brilliant! Love that.
Very clever. This is where that sub-conflict with Marla and Kate is resolved.
So Billy doesn't have to really explain it, you know, for his actions. He's kind of, you know, he knows he did nothing wrong, so, but she does it.
It's a great image, though. It's a real good damsel in distress image, isn't it? Helen Morris is absolutely stunning, and she's wrapped in this spider's web. It's a great...
No one likes spiders.
It's a great horror image.
But
It's a good throwback
I
horror
love this
image.
sort of sequence here because she falls onto her knees and she looks up and she sees the spider, but you know, she feels relieved and suddenly.
Well, they also become damsels in distress at this point as well.
They do, yeah.
But then they make fun of that because they get saved by,
Gizmo,
by
yeah.
Gizmo, yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
Who's the ultimate alpha male now, who's a grafted Rambo.
In about 10 minutes, you know.
Because he's seen it on television.
Yeah. Monkey see, monkey do. And see, is that a wire then? No, it's a bit of web.
Just the craftsmanship of these gremlins is mind blowing. Look at the corner of his the way the corners of his mouth crease. So cat-like.
That's gross. It's a massive
I also
bottom.
love with a lot of the cuts as well. They're quite prolonged.
They are.
And Goldsmith's music will fill them out and make them feel really big and savoured. He really takes his time here. In fact, the gremlins know his name as well.
It's always interesting, like when the gremlins multiply, they kind of already had this history between Gizmo. You know what I mean? Even though they're kind of new gremlins.
And he's their mother.
Yeah. And just once they've been born, they have instant hatred for him. You know, it's strange.
And it's that thing about actors acting with their eyes. Be able to eat scenery, and I think the same can be said with Gizmo. Just look at him here, look at his performance, the way he blinks every couple of seconds. Now we get the throwback scene to the first Gremlin. Just again another three-shot, another crazy three-shot where she's looking unnaturally to the back of the room, like it's a theatre performance.
Yeah.
And they're in the background doing the reaction shots, but we're not cutting away to them. We're doing it all in one. So funny. And there's a quick reflection here. Oh. We're nearing the end of the film now.
Yeah. Whips along very quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Big musical number. That's a huge scene.
Well, this is, I think,
That's kind of, is that split like into four? You think?
probably, yeah. But the point of the scene too, I think, is to show just how much media they've consumed and
Sure. And just have a big musical number.
yeah. Well, I think it works both ways. There's the filmmakers are clearly having a ball. And it's so much fun to watch as well. It feels like you're at a party.
Yeah,
It really does. That's the thing about this film. Feels like you were at a party. It's the joy of filmmaking. It kind of makes you almost feel like you're a puppeteer in the midst of everything, you know, or you're actually there. But with this Busby Berkeley musical number that they do as well, it's massive and it's incredibly well choreographed. But it's also saying something as well. There's a bigger meaning to this. I mean, it's mad. You know, it's bonkers. It's mad. It's crazy. It's crazy fun and it's affectionate. But you can take something. You can read stuff into it, and you can take stuff away from it. It makes me think if you were an adult, if you were a parent, and you were taking your children to see this.
In the UK, they wouldn't have been able to do that. In America, they would have been able to. I think it would have been a PG-13, wouldn't it? Or maybe it's an R. Was it an R? God, I try hard to remember now. But you know, a bunch of kids shove them down in front of Gremlins 2, they'll absolutely love it. You know.
You know, it reminds me a bit of kind of what we're seeing now with a lot of the DreamWorks movies, and I guess maybe even a little bit of the Pixar movies, where there's a bit of a self-awareness. Probably more in the DreamWorks movies, where there are nods to pop culture and stuff that's going on outside. We were saying about jukebox dropping tracks and stuff.
Yeah.
And ironic humour.
Yeah.
And references to other movies within the movie, something like Shrek.
Yeah, Shrek very much does that. It has like contemporary music thrown in. It's supposed to be set in medieval period.
But also things like the references to the Matrix and whatever, and saying something about theme parks and about leisure and I think this is kind of ahead of its time in many ways.
Oh, definitely. I think it does it. I think it's also far more effective with its kind of homaging. It doesn't kind of feel like it's desperate to homage, or it's, you know, just to sort of say, hey, we did it. You know, it clearly knows what it is from the beginning.
But I think films like the Lego Movie, I get a feeling of this kind of this energy and affection. People who love films making films that
they love and
have a massive passion. There's also a feeling too I get with this, and also with Texas Chainsaw 2. It's almost like a feeling of almost like the filmmakers are thinking, we're never ever going to get to make anything ever again. Nobody's ever going to make. So let's just go balls out. Let's do everything. Let's go nuts.
just smoke. You know.
They must have had many test screenings for this to work out what gags to keep and what gags to get rid of.
Oh.
Listen to the gremlin. Listen how pleased with itself it is that he's upset someone.
Down lift shaft. He went up. That's weird.
There is this. It's a really cynical film.
Yeah, I think so.
And it's really mean-spirited, but it's also at the same time really optimistic, and it's very bright, and it's about the intentions of people having good intentions. Like Clamp has good intentions, and it's all going to go back to Clamp Corners anyway.
Yes.
Which also could be Gremlins 3.
True.
It could have been.
This is a great finale to the film, where they kind of to get rid of them all in one go. So obviously there's no more sunlight. Let's fry them all.
Gagapon, gag.
Okay.
It's quite straightforward, actually, isn't it? The death sequence for the Gremlins. Drenching them all in water so they begin to multiply, and then using that to conduct the electricity of the gremlin through them.
Yeah, it's a very inspired idea.
Well, it makes you wonder what happens to the electrical gremlin. What happens to that energy?
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, he could still be about for certain. You know, they could have done something like that at the end. You know, after the credits.
Well, of course they leave one gremlin alive at the end. The one female gremlin.
Well, they do, yeah.
It's a great miniature shot, isn't it? Pulling back.
And they've obviously Rick Baker's recreated that sort of sequence at the end of the first one. It's really well done.
Just look how much detail there is. Every corner is lavish.
It goes back to its horror element now.
Well,
And that's it, Wisdom Oz spoof. Yeah, it's still a joke thrown in as well.
I mean, that's the time that we did grow up in as well, where, as we said, with cable and things and Saturday morning cartoons just being... I mean, we used to watch hours and hours and hours of those. You watch so much, consume so much TV after school. I guess video games aren't really represented in this.
No, they're not. No.
It's the one area, but so much to get in.
Oh,
Kind of tragic, isn't it, seeing the brain gremlin reverted back
that
to
stuff
being
comes out of his mouth, you
just-
know.
turned to goo.
He wasn't really evil, was he? He was just a talking gremlin, you know, who was quite intelligent, you know.
Well, he was a leader.
Yeah.
I love Goldsmith's music here.
Oh, Miss Penny comes in and slips all over the
It's
goo.
like a western. Isn't it? It's like western
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
Just look at that set, though. Look how much detail there is. It's indistinguishable from the real building.
Oh.
And we got the payoff now that Grandpa has now become a news journalist.
Yep.
I mean, that's really fun to look at, isn't it?
Why nobody said it just seemed like news, so I got a cameraman and we... Right.
So he's doing that thing again where he walks to the camera.
He's got an idea
he looks,
every few minutes.
he looks
you know.
to the top corner of the room, eye line, where he's having his epiphany. Those epiphany shots. But Dante does those in all of his films. That's kind of something that you got in sort of classical filmmaking and blocking. Spielberg did it as well.
Yeah, yeah.
That moment, you know, where the character walks forward, the camera dollies into the close-up and it's on a wide lens and they have that epiphany, they realise what's going on. Beauty. I mean, it's an Amblin signature, isn't it?
Join us as we better get some sun this weekend, though, huh?
He doesn't realise he's got makeup on.
I like how there are all these life-changing moments, like, as I say, Grandpa's just become a news journalist. He now makes Marla head of publicity or something, but it's all kind of done as an aside thing. Oh, hi there. Oh, all right. I'll just grant you this. Yeah, then I'll grant you this, and I'll walk over. Da, da, da. And then I'll think about the future. And there's no like, oh no, my empire, it's all fallen to pieces. It's just on to
he's
the
like,
next thing.
he's like, let's rebuild. Let's improve everything, you know.
Look at the way she's shot here, Marla.
They should have gone for the Morticia eyes or something like that on her, you know, the lighting.
Wonderful.
Well, they tried it again, Sheila, but this time we went through.
If you listen to Goldsmith's music in the background, it's amazing.
Daniel Clamp. He's here.
It's all layered and there's a theme for everything, and
Please, my
this is great.
new head of public relations here will handle all questions.
My dad.
And the music makes him a hero at this point, Clamp,
Yeah,
as
the
well,
hero
'cause
theme kicks in
he's a
as well.
visionary. That in spite of all this cold technology, all the sterile, unnatural way of pushing the world to live, he's actually a good American man with
Yeah,
good American
yeah.
values. Who cares about people.
There's a place for things. Make a place for things. Things come.
So I like that. It's not completely mean-spirited.
No.
That's a good point.
It reminds me, you know, with Little Shop of Horrors, you know how they shot that ending initially with the plants taking over the world.
Yeah.
And they realised it's actually once you get to know the people, the characters of the film,
Quite a downbeat ending.
yeah, and it throws you out. And similarly with this, they could have had the Gremlins take over the world. They could have had it turned to night. They could have done something like Little Shop of Horrors and had them.
It would have been quite ballsy to have that ending, but
But then you'd be like,
it's kind of unsatisfying.
whereas this actually is positive. It's
Yeah,
doing
yeah.
something.
It's our hometown.
That's even better. I love that.
So even though this film was basically made fun of small town America and the small town America of the old
Consumerism as well.
B movies, no, but even though it's making fun of everything that the first film stood for, and those good values, now it's actually returning to them.
Yeah.
And we're gonna build the biggest.
It's made fun of and shown that the unnatural way of cable TV and consumption doesn't work,
Yeah.
and that we have to go back to being real people.
Yeah. What?
It's funny. I look at him. You know what I see? What's that, sir? Dolls with suction cups.
Well, that was the thing. Like what Garfield was, wasn't he? The suction cup thing on a car.
Right. I love how his performance there. Did you know anything about merchandising before Billy has a chance to reply? Yeah, he's just straight in. It's great. It's a wonderfully judged performance.
So it's bringing in the theme again from the end of the first
Yeah.
one. A sort of violins, you know.
It's funny, isn't it, when you grow up in these films and you see things like John Glover's performance in this, or you see Larry Draker's Durant in Darkman, and you think these guys are amazing. Why don't we see them more often in big movies, huge movies? I'd love to see them in.
Well, Glover's used quite a lot though. I think he's kind of.
Well, both.
It's
all of those
quite-
have had great careers, but I guess because you spend so much time with them, rewatching them over and over again on VHS.
You think they would fit, well within more films as well.
Well, you become-
more
yeah.
commercial ones. Yeah.
Building. Hello? Forrester, what are you doing? Okay, we'll get you
Love that mullet on the guy on the right.
Yeah. Oh
Massive.
god, that's a nasty mullet. That is.
while the elevators are out, the doors are locked. Well, I don't know, not too long. We'll do what we can.
And I love the way he graciously gives Forrester a half day off as well.
Maybe I have been working too hard, Mr. Plant.
He's been kissed to death.
It's so cleverly thought out though with the design too of just being able to not have sunlight filter into the building all the time.
But also, the film doesn't forget about all the characters. No
Yeah.
one's kind of just like there's a plot hole, and what happened to this character? Everyone's
No.
been given their fair dues.
Before we even get to the Gremlins, there's an ensemble cast.
Yeah.
There's
They've
interlinking.
already established everyone.
Yeah, and everybody, as you say, everyone has a payoff. But I do like how with the design of the building, it's not just about, as we say, it's not just, they haven't just designed the building so you don't see sunlight in the building. That's how modern buildings are. They are lightless buildings. That's the whole
Yeah.
point. Or it's certainly at that time. It's a natural way to spend a whole day in
Yeah.
darkness with artificial lighting.
I love how he kind of shot. He kind of
Final wedding shot. With the
yeah.
female gremlin.
He just like accepts it.
I like the way he falls out of frame too. He just drops off. He's so good, isn't he, Robert Ricardo? He's another. Do you know what?
He has great
Do you know what
comedy
makes this
timing.
ending?
What's that?
There's a cackling gremlin just after the music ends. When it says the end and the wedding march finishes, it's just this cheeky little nod here. Listen. That.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
That's the first one, isn't it?
This is one of the best kind of overture
Best
end
rendition
credits.
of the theme, I think. He's added a bit more tempo to it. I think it's a bit more faster.
Well, it's one of the best end. It just kind of goes on and on and on and on. Have you noticed?
Also, I always notice that it goes all blue. Doesn't
Yeah,
it?
I was going to say, but also another thing too that you don't really see anymore. You don't really experience it, but at the end of these movies, you'd have the main theme would come up on the end credits, bum 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 bum, and then you have all of the sub themes, all the other themes, all the other characters' themes or recurring motives or whatever would come up at different points. Like here, it's doing the Gremlins march, but it then goes into Gizmo's theme.
Yeah.
It then goes into
It's like
a
a
bit-
suite, isn't it?
yeah.
Or a suit. Is it called a
Suite.
suit? Yeah, suite. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
And yeah, I missed that. I really missed that.
Mm.
But again, that's my nostalgia calling out there.
It's a classic way of composing, isn't it? That's kind of been missing a lot from movies today.
Mm.
And that was kind of you saying earlier about Jurassic World. It's quite refreshing hearing that again.
Yeah.
We've been bombarded with sort of electronic kind of renditions of, electronic music copying orchestral music.
Mm.
It doesn't sound the same.
And we sing. There's little bits of the Chuck Jones animation pops up in here. Daffy calling out at one
Yeah,
point.
because
"Why are you
as
so
an
much
audience
of this?"
member, you kind of forget. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
it did start with a Warner Brothers sort of cartoon. Now it goes back into it.
There he is. But to summarise, yeah, it's mad. It's a mad bonkers film where they've kind of gone. We can't do the first film again, so let's do a parody of it. But they've still in the process managed to do something that says something, certainly about then, and I think it does resonate now. I could see a version of this with tablets and mobile phones and video game culture as well, and the idea of the environment.
Source music composed and also by Alexander Courage.
Well, Alexander Courage was a big associate of Jerry Goldsmith, wasn't he? But it's saying, the film says the environment that you're in influences you.
Mm.
Not just with Clamp Towers not being a place for people, but also you put a Gremlins in a media savvy area full of consumerism, and they're going to worship that, and they're going to become that, and they do.
Yeah.
You've got a Brain Gremlin, you've got Phantom of the Opera Gremlin, you know, you've got people recreating Gremlins.
So
Recreating them.
where would you think a third one should go then?
As I said, I think the military is an obvious one. I think
Yeah.
I think Clamp Corners is maybe a too obvious.
You couldn't bring that back, no.
Because it's you just remake the first one.
Yeah.
Although now you could do it with the children of Billy and Kate. But
That's
I think
a good idea.
I think a military seems to be the way. Seems to be a logical step for me anyway. But I don't know, I like the ending. I think this is great. It comes full circle. They get to the fact that you get to Clamp Corners is the end.
Don't you people have homes?
It's great, isn't it? Smash?
Making fun of people sitting through the credits, you know.
Well, Oliver, this is definitely one of my favourite films. It's
that 1990 period as well. I firmly believe it's better than the first one. Just because it's so kind of more rewatchable. As you say, you find more and more things about it.
And the
as you
first one
kind
is
of
a
rewatch
great
it.
film.
Oh yeah. I'm not a detriment to the first one because I've already reviewed it. I've highly praised it.
But it's not just a sort of big postmodern kind of big sort of spoofy mashup, taking the, you know, with all kinds of pop cultural references. The reason it's doing that is because the Gremlins are in that environment. There's a reason for it.
Oh
and that's that's what's
certainly.
the great meaning of it.
No, you don't. Sorry. 60 years of huddling end title is enough.
Great ending.
Well, everyone, as they say, it's that's all, folks. Well, I hope you enjoyed the commentary. Me and Tim will be back soon with some more.
Bye.
Bye bye.